Thought I'd give you guys a moment to pile in. What is up, everybody? My name is Corey, and this is Armchair Fantasy Football. We are doing a live mock draft for the second day in a row. Really going to be wrapping up the content, especially in a live capacity, as we get super close to the beginning of the 2024 season. Starts in just 2 days. Then we've got Packers and Eagles on Friday. We have Chiefs and Ravens on Thursday. So actually a lot of fantasy players probably in those two matchups alone before we even hit the main weekend slate. I am, as promised, in a live expert mock draft at the moment. I see we've got Andrew in here. What's going on, Andrew? We've got Cap for Life. We've got Blurpy in here as well. Let me know who you guys are picking first overall. We've got a poll in the live chat. And, of course, if it is your first time here, I need 3 things from you. Make sure you leave a like, make sure you subscribe, and make sure in the live chat right now, ask me your fantasy football questions. We do have some handy-dandy drafting guidelines on the side of the screen here. And I'm about to jump into a mock draft right now. I will explain those guidelines on the side in just a moment. I do want to keep an eye on the chat if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns. Blurpy says, what do you think of my team? We have a 10-man PPR. Quarterbacks are Lamar and Jordan Love. Running backs are Travis Etienne, Joe Mixon, Austin Eckler, Ezekiel Elliott, and Nick Chubb. Hopefully we get him back after a month. Wide receivers are Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Deebo Samuel, Rashee Rice, Keon Coleman, Demario Douglas. Tight ends are Ferguson. And then you've got Elliott at kicker, the Saints at defense. You can start a couple of flexes. I like it a lot. I especially like the fact you have a combination of a mobile quarterback and more of a slinger of a quarterback who's going to air it out with more success in Jordan Love. You've got a really deep running back room. For the most part, I really do like that you have Zeke and Eckler as that third option. If you want to combine those two for an RB3 upgrade, I wouldn't blame you either, especially with Mixon being in a different spot right now. I love the wide receiver room. We've got Hill, Adams, Deebo, Rice, Coleman. I mean, you're going to be straight there. Maybe you take Douglas or Coleman and combine them with Eckler again for that RB upgrade. Jake Ferguson, absolutely no complaints there. We are drafting in 15 seconds. During those 15 seconds, I've got the 5 spot. I love where I'm at. During those 15 seconds, I'll explain the drafting guidelines. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Availability, opportunity, productivity, bye weeks, and team success. If you are a day one on this channel, you know what those first 3 mean. Availability means somebody who is healthy. We want to look for that for sure. And healthy in the past, healthy currently, someone who's going to be on the field. Opportunity, we're talking about targets, touches, guys who are going to get the ball in their hands, high snap percentage. We look at those metrics throughout this season as well. Cannot wait to dive into that stuff since once we have some current data to go off of. Productivity, what are they doing with those touches, targets, snaps, opportunities? You know, is it a high yard per carry running back? Is it someone who's scoring a decent amount? Is it a wide receiver who gets a decent amount of deep balls and has a good catch percentage? Bijan falling all the way to 5. I also have the luxury of possibly taking Tyreek Hill in PPR. I'm going to go Tyreek here. Kind of shocked that Bijan fell that far. So yeah, productivity, what are you doing with those chances? Do you have an efficient quarterback? Do you have an efficient running back? Do you have a tight end who is catching the majority of their targets? Do you have someone with a good yards per reception metric? Somebody like Gabe Davis or Tank Dell. Obviously, Gabe Davis, a little controversy there because his catch percentage isn't great, but his yards per reception are because he runs a lot of vertical routes. Number 4 on the drafting guidelines, bye weeks. Obviously, do not draft 5 different players with a bye week in week 12. That would be a recipe for absolute disaster. And lastly, team success. A couple different ways you can go with this. Do you want somebody in a bad offense even though they're a great prospect? Just checking here before my pick comes up. Okay. Do you want someone in a bad offense? Do you want a running back in the Carolina Panthers backfield? You know, things like that. But also with team success, I want you to think about game script. Teams that are winning in the fourth quarter are going to run the ball more. They're trying to chew the clock out. And teams that are losing or working from behind but have a decent offense are going to throw more. So that's why you'll see some people purposely take a wide receiver on a bad team as long as the offense is at least somewhat sufficient because they know that so-and-so is going to be throwing the ball 40, 45 times a game. Pacheco has fallen to me. I do have my receiver in Hill. I think I'm going to go Pacheco or Etienne here. And I've liked Pacheco more in the draft so far just because of the lack of target competition and the fact that he was more involved as a pass catcher. So I'm going to go Pacheco at round 2. I mean, I wouldn't blame any of you for taking Etienne either. I feel like those two are one or the other. Very high on Isaiah Pacheco here, so I'm going to try that combination. All right, if you guys are just joining in, we are doing a live mock draft. I jumped into a 10-teamer. We'll see what happens. Hopefully I can get a 12 or 14. 10 was available right away. And going to kind of just take you through my headspace. Again, we've got my guidelines on the side. Feel free to like. Feel free to subscribe. We're going live a few times a week. And, of course, I'm answering any and all of your questions in the chat. Johnny is in here. What's up, Johnny? Says, I'm surprised people chose other for first overall. It should be CMC or Hill, really. I've seen CeeDee Lamb as well. I'd be lying to you if I told you that CMC was my first overall. I am in between CeeDee Lamb, who is in a dynamic offense, obviously locked down for a few years now, and Tyreek Hill, who is also in a dynamic offense, great weather, controlled environment. You're never really going to worry about anything unless they have a hurricane or a monsoon down there. Tyreek is 30 years old, so I've kind of been leaning CeeDee, to be honest with you. We are in PPR, and I have noticed the running back talent dropping off a decent amount after the first couple of rounds. So I'm going to double up here, considering that I have Rachaad White, James Cook, Josh Jacobs at my disposal. If you ask me, Alvin Kamara is risky. Rule number 4 is going to come into play here. I cannot get another bye week at 6 because I already have 2 of those. I am going to go with James Cook because they lost Gabe Davis. They lost Stephon Diggs. Rachaad White's got a decent amount of target competition. Wasn't the most efficient last year. Cook was more efficient. I believe has more opportunity in Buffalo because the receiving core is apparently non-existent right now. Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid. They're exciting, but yeah. Blurpy says, yeah, not sure how Hill is 5th overall on ESPN. Yeah, I'm kind of shocked that he fell that far too, so I gladly took him. I was not expecting Tyreek Hill to fall into my lap at that phase, but I am not going to complain in the slightest. That's for sure. All right, so I've got my 2 running backs. I'm definitely going to pivot more towards a pass catcher. Maybe I go elite tight end if Sam Laporta falls to me in the 4th, which he has been. He's been falling to the 4th or 5th round. I do see he's questionable. Not one of the players whose injury status is a concern for Sunday's regular season opener against the Rams. Okay, so he should be fine. Obviously, Laporta is the consensus number 1 coming out of last year. He is way younger than Travis Kelce. For you dynasty buyers, there is a lot of appeal there. But yeah, folks, if you have any questions on drafting, you want to make some early trades, dynasty, redraft, PPR, non-PPR, half PPR, 10-team, 12-team, 14-team, 8-team, 4-team. I really don't care. Ask me all your questions, and I will get them answered for you. We got a couple more here. Brian Pereira, how's it going? And make sure you answer the poll question in the live chat below. All right. Brian says, are we starting any of the Cowboys running game? I do think that Dak will be throwing it a ton this season. I will answer that in a moment. I'm going pass catcher. Laporta got picked right in front of me, so I'm going to go with my wide receiver 2. See, Malik Neighbors is in such a bad offense, but at this point, if he's falling all the way to pick 36, I think I'm okay with taking that. That's a good value pick. Diggs has target competition. Ayuk does as well. I haven't taken Neighbors in a lot of drafts, but I will do so here just because of the value. I would not have taken him before then. I think Dak will be throwing it a ton this season. Yeah, I do too, Brian, but I do want you to remember the approach that the Cowboys are going to run the rock just like anybody else when they're up late in a game. So maybe if you want a good touchdown scorer that's available in the 14th or 15th round, you go out and get an Ezekiel Elliott. They're honestly in a 12-team. He's probably not going to be available then, but maybe you get him in the 10th or 12th round. I know he is washed. He is not what he was before, but there are some goal line metrics out there that imply that Ezekiel Elliott is a phenomenal pick if you get him at the right value. Otherwise, yeah, I would lean heavily into the passing game. Brian, I'm not going out of my way to start a Cowboys running back, but if we get in a pinch, we know how disposable running backs can be. We know how often they can get hurt. Maybe I would go and take a little bit of a risk there. Ferguson is low on some ADP rankings. Him and Dak had good chemistry last season. I am all over Jake Ferguson. I understand that CeeDee Lamb garners a lot of attention, but Jake Ferguson was a top 8 tight end last year. We saw him getting more and more and more targets. He was a great prospect out of Wisconsin. He and Dak had a lot of rapport. We can look at Jake Ferguson here while I'm waiting for my next pick. Actually, I'm going to do this pick, and then I'll go. If Ayuk falls all the way to 45, I am definitely taking him. Yep, that's a no-brainer in my opinion. A couple of quarterbacks off the board. I doubt I get Lamar at 56. Could have taken him there. Now I'm kind of in a spot because all of the real effective mobile quarterbacks and established mobile quarterbacks have gone. So I might sit back a little bit. Again, folks, I'm Corey. This is Armchair Fantasy Football. We are doing a live mock draft. Probably a couple of them. If you have any questions, feel free to pop those in the live chat below. Leave a like, subscribe. We'll be live streaming a lot throughout the season. Hoping to be a good resource for you. We do have my drafting guidelines along the side. But yeah, I like Jake Ferguson a lot. Actually, let's go. Very good resource is Fantasy SP. Brandon Cooks coming off a relatively healthy year last season. I actually just threw him in a trade. It was Brandon Cooks, Dallas Goedert, and a 4th-round pick in a dynasty, and we have 5-round rookie drafts every year. And I went out and got George Kittle in a 5th-rounder. Immediately went and got Rashid Shaheed off of the waivers to replace Brandon Cooks. He's younger by about 5 years, so like what I did there. Yeah, Jake Ferguson, the consensus number 2 target. Just as many snaps pretty much as CeeDee Lamb and or anybody else. He took his receptions for more than 10 yards a pop. 8 touchdowns, was a very good red zone target. I have no problems with Jake Ferguson. If he is being drafted later, that means I get to get other players before I have to go after a reliable tight end. And it's funny you mentioned Jake Ferguson. I am probably going to take him in a couple rounds here, depending on where the chips fall. I am not an Anthony Richardson drafter unless he really, really falls due to the fact he only played a handful of games last year. Sucks for me that Lamar went. I might take CJ in round 7. I'd be stretching for a running back right now. Chris Godwin, I will take him in the 6th round. He has 4 seasons with at least 1,000 receiving yards over the course of the last 5 years. Again, just got to be careful with my bye weeks here. We have a pair of 6s, a pair of 11s. Not really danger zone, but we don't want to get into a situation where there's multiple, especially early on. So I kind of got to watch myself here. Would love to get to 10 likes early on, folks. Again, if you could leave a like and subscribe, I will be your resource throughout the entirety of the season. I'd love to be a resource for you, help you out-research your fantasy opponent. We start with drafting guidelines, availability. Are they on the field? Opportunity. Are they getting touches, targets, and snaps? Productivity. Do they have a good yards per carry rate? Do they have a good yards per reception rate? Are they capitalizing on their opportunities? Pretty simple there. Bye weeks, make sure you don't triple and quadruple those up early on in your drafts. And lastly, team success. Teams that are doing very well and you think are going to win 10, 11, 12 games, let's go with their running backs. Teams that are not doing very well but have a competent offense, let's go with their pass catchers. We are talking wide receivers or tight ends. That was a lot of words. TS is in here. Bengals or Seahawks defense this week. I currently have the Bengals. I will let you know after I take this pick here. CJ fell to me in the 6th. So I will go with CJ Stroud. Otherwise, I'd probably wait. Dak's a pretty good volume passer. He is usually sitting around 4,500, sometimes almost 5,000 yards if he does stay healthy. I love draft season. This is probably my favorite part of the year, just to kind of see where the chips fall in different scenarios. This is a 10-teamer, so teams are going to be a little more loaded. I want to jump on a 12-teamer. Okay. Bengals or Seahawks was the question. I just want to look at the matchups here. So Bengals going up against the Patriots. I don't even think I need to see the other one. Seahawks, Broncos. Bo Nix had a decent camp. I don't want to take too much away from preseason, but I would say the Patriots are in not a much worse spot, but not a great spot offensively. You know, you've got a rookie quarterback there as well. You have 2 rookie quarterbacks, really, in not great offenses. I'd go either, but I say we go with Bengals. They went out and got Von Bell after his 1-year hiatus over in Carolina. Good secondary, young QB. Yeah, I would go Bengals, TS. Are the Saints available? Oh, asking TS on that. Saints, Bagels, and Seahawks all have great matchups. I'm a streamer when it comes to defenses. Like, unless I get the Cowboys or Ravens or Browns, a really good front 7, a team that dominates week in, week out, I don't get too attached to defenses. I kind of do what Blurpy and TS are talking about, where I just try and capitalize on a weak matchup. Yeah. Big fan of that approach. All right. We are rolling into the next round. Still going to keep answering your questions here. Saints are not on the waiver for me. I would lean Bengals because the Pats O-line sucks, so sacks should add up. The Pats O-line had a horrible preseason. So regardless of what you think of Drake May, I don't think he's going to have a ton of time to throw the football. Sacks should add up. I love that. TS saying, don't forget to like and subscribe. Absolutely love that. Apparently I missed Rashee Rice. Who did I take there? Chris Godwin over him. I'm banking on Pitts this year. He has to break out. Never mind. You got week 6. Yeah. The roll is in here. What's up, man? Brissett is starting for New England. Oh, duh. That's right. They did let go of Bailey Zappi. So I believe it is just May and Brissett. I have 4 receivers. We're going to go running back here. A couple of not very efficient guys, but Monty was crazy with touchdowns last year, so we'll go with him. I don't think that changes, though. I do like Jacoby Brissett. I would say he's a top 32 quarterback if he plays the way he has the last couple of years. Doesn't have a whole lot of weapons. Good matchups across the board. Let's roll with the Bengals. Josh is in here. What's going on, Josh? What do you think of my 16-man PPR team? Applaud to you, man. I mean, obviously slim pickings in the latter half of that draft, right? But we've got Dak and Caleb Williams, Devon Achane, Ezekiel Elliott, CeeDee Lamb, DJ Moore, David Njoku, Tank Dell. I like it a lot. I'm assuming that's just the starters. Would love to see the bench, but I'm sure that's kind of where we start to get into no man's land. Dak and Caleb is a good, A-B option because Dak, we know what he can do. We know he can throw for volume. Caleb, all he has to do is really play decent to put up numbers. He's got DJ Moore. He's got Keenan Allen. He's got Rome Odunze. He's got Cole Kmet. He's got Gerald Everett, a sneaky tight end pickup for that team. So I'm fine with that. Nice stack as well with Caleb and Moore if you do utilize him. Any do not drafts this season? That is a great question. Jake Ferguson. Do I want to get cute and wait? Like, I've got enough receivers. I have enough backs. I've got my QB. I'm just going to take my guy here. I probably could have waited, but that's fine. But yeah, I love the team, Josh. CeeDee, Moore, Tank Dell, Achane, Zeke. Maybe if you want to upgrade at running back, I know it's going to be tough, but depending on who you have on the bench, maybe you take a bench running back and your wide receiver 3. In this case, it would be Tank Dell, and go after a more elite level running back. I do love Devon Achane, but obviously the availability was a bit of an issue last year. It was kind of like the Breece Hall rookie season where he had a handful of good games and not much after. If you are just joining the stream, thanks so much. My name is Corey. This is Armchair Fantasy Football. We have our drafting guidelines along the side. I'll explain those again in a second. But make sure you leave a like. Make sure you subscribe. Trying to get up to 10 likes early on in this stream. We're getting some good traction. I am here to help you out-research your opponent. We'll never tell you what to do with your team unless you ask me for suggestions. I'm here to put the right information in front of you so that you have more than your opponent does and you are more well prepared, I think that's a sentence, in week 1 than whoever you're going up against. Any do not drafts this season or players to shy away from. Brian, I don't love the value that Anthony Richardson's going at right now. I've been seeing him go in the first 5 or 6 rounds. I just have a tough time really trying to justify going, let's encapsulate 4 or 5 weeks that were great from a guy who, again, is extremely talented, one of the most athletic individuals in this league, kind of a Cam Newton archetype, but I think he throws a better ball. He played 4 or 5 games last year. He got hurt, and that is all we have on him. So, Brian, I'm shying away from Anthony Richardson at the moment. You helped me win the chip last season. Thanks. No problem, TS. I appreciate you being here. That's great for a 16-man league. I agree, Blurpy. It is tough to do. Keon Coleman falling to me here at 96. Jacoby Myers, the wide receiver 2. Coleman has wide receiver 1 upside, obviously, with Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs being out. We'll roll with him. Already up to 10 likes. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you. Devin Singletary going the pick before me. Yeah, I agree. That's great for a 16. We have Tone Bear back in here. What's going on? Hey, was in here the other day. Was wondering if I should trade Rashee Rice and Kyron Williams for Bijan Robinson. I currently have Christian McCaffrey, Drake London, Puka Nacua. That is an awesome receiving core. Nacua in London. You have the tight end 1 in Sam Laporta. You have Jalen Waddle, Tank Dell, Chris Olave, and Kyler. And you also have Rice. Yeah. So you have CMC. Tone Bear, I'm assuming Kyron is your running back 2. You're looking for Bijan, especially in that offense. I would go Rice and Kyron for Bijan. I would even try and get a bench piece just to do a 2-for-2. Then you don't have to worry about going to waivers to fill up that last spot. Try and do a 2-for-2. Go Bijan and one of his bench guys. You can run those by me if you want. And go out and get, deal Rice and Kyron, get Bijan, and get one of his bench pieces. Or if Rice and Kyron isn't enough, would you do Waddle instead of Rice? I would value Waddle a little bit above Rice right now. Even though there's a lot of opportunity in that offense, you have to remember Hollywood Brown. Ooh, I like Chase Brown here. Not just because he's the top guy, because it's just Zach Moss that he's fighting with. No disrespect to Zach Moss, but Mixon's gone. That's a winning football team. Brown was a great pass catcher. Brown is a great dynasty guy as well. 5-year upside. Yeah, Tone Bear, I would go Rashee Rice and Kyron for Bijan and get something else. I think you can. Josh says, I thought I had a pretty good draft. Achane fell to the 3rd, which is kind of unexpected. I would definitely be taking Devon Achane in the 3rd. I agree with that. Again, folks, we are doing a live expert mock draft here. My drafting guidelines will kind of help you hopefully find your way if you haven't drafted already. The role says, do you play any Dynasty? I do. I am in year 2 of a Dynasty league. I did one a couple of years ago as well, and then kind of left that group and jumped on to a new one. I did win year 1 of my Dynasty and just made a trade yesterday. It was for George Kittle and a 5th rounder. We do 5 rounds of rookie drafting every year. And I gave up Goddard, a 4th rounder for next year, and Brandon Cooks, who was like my wide receiver 6. And I got Kittle and a 5th rounder. And then in place of Cooks, I went out and got Rashid Shaheed right away. It's a 10-team league, but we have expanded rosters, so it kind of plays closer to 12. You do have to dig to get decent talent. I like the upside for Shaheed over the course of the next 5 years as opposed to Cooks. But yes, I do play Dynasty. If you guys have any Dynasty fantasy football questions, I'm here for those as well. The role says giving up Waddle is too much in my opinion. I definitely agree with that. So Tone Bear, if you were to go Waddle and Kyron Williams for Bijan, you better get a decent second person. At that point, you can probably get somebody in their starting lineup that's cracking their starting lineup or is at least fringe. That is what I would go with there. All right, those drafting guidelines, haven't mentioned those in a little bit, so if you are new here, thanks so much for joining. Make sure you leave a like, make sure you subscribe, drop something in the chat as well. I don't think I robbed them the role, but I was in a pretty good spot, and he was looking for more depth. Didn't have a ton of receivers. I'd have to show you the teams. I don't think I robbed him, but there was definitely some value there for me. I'm going to go get my backup here. I would take Kirk over. Herbert's going to be in a more run-heavy offense. I'll take my backup QB here in Kirk. What was I saying? Do you play any Dynasty? Was going over draft guidelines. So availability, opportunity, and productivity. Day ones, we'll kind of know what that means if you guys have been on this channel for a while. Availability, I love health history. That's exactly why I'm talking about not being in love with Anthony Richardson as like the QB 5 or 6 in these drafts right now. I want someone who has a track record, has been on the field before, doesn't have any lingering concerns going into the season. I'm a pretty low-risk fantasy player, so that's kind of my philosophy. If you like to take risk and want to swing for the fences on a very talented prospect in Richardson, I'm not going to tell you no. Opportunity, we are looking at metrics like snaps, targets, touches for backs. Obviously, quarterbacks, that's pretty plain and simple. But tight ends, receivers, and running backs, that's very, very important. Productivity, are these efficient options? Do they have a stranglehold on their job? Are these running backs averaging more than 4.1, 4.2 yards per carry? Are these wide receivers operating with a good catch percentage? Or are they like Gabe Davis, where in the past he's catching only half the things thrown to him because they're a little deeper? You know, are there good reception yards yards per reception metrics? Are they getting a decent amount of the targets on the team and doing something good with them? That's kind of what I'm looking for the most part. I'll actually take Dalton Schultz here. And then number 4, bye weeks. You do not want to get like 4, 5, 6 of the same bye weeks. And if you do, you kind of put yourself in a corner. 4 is fine. Like you see, I've got 4 12s here, but 3 of them are on the bench. You really just don't want a ton of the guys in your starting lineup really conflicting with one another. I'm going to go defense here now. See if I can get the Cowboys or Ravens. And lastly, what is rule number 5 here? Team success. Teams that are winning more ball games are likely to run the ball more in the fourth quarter. They are trying to chew the clock out. Teams that are losing a lot of ball games, working from behind, or are in competitive ball games, they have a more pass-heavy game script, if you will, especially down the stretch. Game script wouldn't be the right word. That's the first 15 plays of a game. But you get what I mean. Those teams are going to be more pass-oriented. That is public information. You can look up run-pass ratio as well. All right, a couple picks away here. I don't like Anthony Richardson either. Yeah, it's just a risk play, like nothing personal. I think he's an extremely talented individual. I just don't want to invest in someone who played a handful of games last year, and that's all we have to go off of. Now, if Anthony Richardson was out for the majority of last season, I will gladly take the Cowboys. If Anthony Richardson was out for the majority of the last season, but then the 3 or 4 years prior, he played full seasons, was, top 10 in QB rankings, fine. I will gladly go with that, but I'm not taking that risk at the moment, respectfully, right? So that's kind of where I'm at. Again, folks, I am Corey. This is Armchair Fantasy Football. Make sure you leave a like, make sure you subscribe, but most importantly, ask any questions that you have in the live chat below. I am pretty caught up right now, but I'll get to you if anything comes up. Oh, we've got Death Reaper in here. 10-man PPR, 3 wide receiver, 2 running backs, and a flex. So a bit of an expanded starting roster. You have Jalen Hurts, CeeDee Lamb, Drake London, Devonta Smith, Kyron Williams, Jerome Ford, Dalton Kincaid. I love this year because of a lack of target competition. Maybe Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir shock us, but again, it is wide open there. George Pickens in a slightly better quarterback situation, and I'll look at your bench here in a moment. I do need a kicker. Is Butker one? No. We'll take the best in the biz. Your bench, you have Najee Harris, Christian Kirk, which I do love because, again, that team lost Zay Jones, and they also lost Calvin Ridley to Tennessee, Zay Jones to the Cardinals. You got Blake Corum, Hollywood Brown, just doubtful this week, hopefully not out too long, Jordan Mason, and Romeo Doubs. For a 10-man, especially an expanded roster, I actually like that a lot. You are capitalizing on, you don't have, outside of Kyron, the elite level running back there. You do have Ford for the first few weeks until Chubb comes back. I think he's supposed to come back in week 5, 6-ish. We'll do my last pick here and then go full screen for a bit. Let's see who's best available. Rashid Shaheed, I'll gladly make him my last. I got too many week 12, so I will go Joshua Palmer. Another situation where it's a run-heavy team, but they just gutted their receiving core. No Mike Williams, no Keenan Allen, no Gerald Everett. I don't have a ton of bye week 5, so I will go Joshua Palmer. Yeah. Death Reaper, I like your situation a lot. CeeDee Lamb was obviously your first-round pick. That's my favorite pick in the draft this year because it's a prolific offense, and he's not as old as Tyreek, so there's less of a risk there. Let's run through the team. Speaking of Tyreek, he was my mid-first-round pick. Then we went Pacheco in the second. I've been very high on him due to the lack of target competition, increased pass-catching involvement, and the fact he's just on a really good offense that's going to run the ball a lot. We went to one of the rivals of the Chiefs in James Cook. Kind of the same situation, right? Increased pass-catching involvement, not a ton of target competition with Diggs and Davis leaving. Went Malik Neighbors in the 4th. Haven't done that a whole lot. Ayuk, Godwin, Stroud, Monty. We've got touchdown upside. Ferguson was in the 9th. Keon Coleman as a part of that Bills offense. I probably wouldn't stack them, but we'll see how things develop. Chase Brown is a good long-term play, more so in Dynasty. I just liked him at where he was at. Kirk Cousins is still being drafted outside the top 15 in quarterbacks. I don't really understand why. He has been as consistent as can be. Dalton Schultz, Cowboys game-wrecking defense, best kicker in the biz, and Joshua Palmer, lack of target competition again. So that's kind of just something I'm looking at. Guys who have an opportunity to do a lot because there's not a lot around them. All right. Catch up on some questions here. The Roll says, instead of Anthony Richardson, I prefer to just wait for a similar player in JD5. Yeah. Somebody with rushing upside. I've seen a lot of people go after Jaden Daniels later on, and that's fine. I think he and Caleb are decent rookie plays. Caleb Williams has more help around himself. Jaden Daniels has the rushing upside. So where Jaden Daniels might rush for 6, 7, 800 yards, Caleb Williams has Rome Odunze, 6-time Pro Bowler Keenan Allen, and DJ Moore coming off a career year. Folks, my name is Corey. This is Armchair Fantasy Football. Just doing a quick reset for those of you who are just joining. Just did one mock draft. We will jump into another here in a moment. If you have any questions about drafting, any questions about how your team is, strengths, weaknesses, any questions about potential trades, dynasty, redraft, PPR, half PPR, standard, I am happy to help you. The drafting guidelines, availability, opportunity, productivity, bye weeks, and team success. Availability, are they getting chances to do something like we're talking about snaps and targets and that type of thing? Opportunity, availability, are they healthy, right? Are they available and on the field? Opportunity, are they getting targets, snaps, metrics like that? Productivity, are they efficient on the ground if they're a running back? Do they have a good yards per reception mark if they're a wide receiver? Do they have a good catch rate? That type of thing. Bye weeks, make sure you don't have 5 of those or even 4 of those if you can avoid it. That'll really restrict your lineup and you might be giving up a win at some point. And team success. Teams that are doing well, they are obviously going to have better performances on offense. But teams that are winning 10, 11, 12 games are probably going to run the ball more in the fourth quarter because they're ahead, burning the clock down. Teams that are not doing very well, 6, 7, 8 wins, they're in a lot of close ball games. They're working from behind. They're probably going to pass more. So if they have a decent offense, you go after wide receivers, a la the Malik Neighbors argument. I don't think he's in a great offense, but he is obviously going to be in some pass-heavy schemes. I want to catch up on a couple more questions, and then we will do mock draft number 2. Feel free to leave a like. Let's get up to 20. We're at 15 early. I appreciate that, folks. Subscribe if you would like to as well. We are live streaming about 4 to 5 times a week. We'll do some YouTube shorts from time to time. We'll be all over your waiver wire pickups and everything in between. Yeah, and I am happy to help here. Johnny D said maybe do wide receiver, and then go running backs. Oh, hold up. I got to catch up here. Walter said, Wally, how's it going? Not scared of how unprecedented it is to see a quarterback Cousins' age coming off of an Achilles. I mean, if he's your backup, I'm not. I think he's just a good security blanket. I do think that is why he's going so low, but he's got such good weapons around him. As much as Kyle Pitts has hurt everyone around him, I think he is still a phenomenal tight end prospect with tight end 5 or better upside. Obviously, Drake London. You've got a pass catcher in Bijan who, if unlocked, could be a once-in-a-generation running back, I do believe. Yeah, I think the Achilles is something to be scared of, but that's also why I'm not selecting Cousins in the 6th or 7th round. I do think he's a good backup, and I would gladly lunge ahead in a round or 2 to make sure I got him. And then if he gets hurt and I don't end up using him, oh well, right? Johnny says, because my draft position is random, lousy commissioner, I'm really lost at what to do. Maybe do wide receiver, and then go running backs. Johnny, I would say if you can get a running back or 2 running backs in the first 3 rounds, that's good. Somebody was mentioning this last stream, and it is very true. The value of running backs, and we'll jump into another mock here, the value of running backs in the first 3 rounds is a whole lot different than like 4 through 6 or 4 through 7. Let's see what we got going on here. I was in a 10 team, which I didn't love. Expert 12 team PPR. Let me in. Nice. Okay. We'll go in that in a minute and a half here. That'll be mock draft number 2 for today. Yeah, Johnny, it kind of depends, right? Like, if you're top 3, it's got to be Tyreek, it's got to be CD, or it's got to be CMC. If you're back end, you're going after somebody like a Justin Jefferson or a Garrett Wilson on the 1-2 turn. It really does depend, but I would prioritize getting at least 1 running back. I know the whole 0 RB strategy is out there for people who want to pile up on pass catchers and PPR. I would highly suggest getting at least 1 running back in the first 3 rounds because, as you're going to see in the second mock draft, the talent drops off quick. All right, Big Money Joe's in here. Week 1, am I starting Malik Neighbors at home against the Vikings, Zamir White against the Chargers away, Jerome Ford against the Cowboys at home, 12-man PPR. So Ford obviously filling in for Nick Chubb in the first couple of weeks. Zamir filling in as the RB1 with Josh Jacobs out of town. Neighbors, a pass catcher in PPR against the Vikings, a team that has definitely not had a great defense as of late. I'm going to go Neighbors for 2 reasons. One, a wide receiver in PPR is usually going to beat a running back unless they're in completely different tiers, and Neighbors is being picked ahead of Zamir and Ford in most drafts for a reason. 2, the Giants aren't a great football team, and I could see them going pass heavy. They're going to have to work from behind. 3, the Vikings secondary is not that good. So I'm going to go Malik Neighbors out of those 3, picking 1 flex. Yep, I am going to go with Malik Neighbors. What do we do about Devontae Adams? He's definitely a do not draft. If Devontae falls enough below his ADP, I will go after him, but I'm not going out of my way to get Devontae. I wouldn't declare him as like one of my top do not drafts. He's still extremely talented. I'm actually a pretty big Gardner Minshew stan, so, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say Devontae has a career year, but he'll definitely break the 1,000, 1,100, maybe 1,200 yard threshold. Should get a decent amount of red zone targets. Gardner can sling it too. He's never done anything wrong. If you look at his numbers over the course of his career, he's definitely not bad. I would say he's around average. Tingley says, I got Bijan and Mostert. You've got to name your team Bijan Mustard. That makes way too much sense. I'm just going to put that out there. Draft room is open. Wait a minute. Did I go? I may have done something wrong. Or ESPN is glitching. Probably did something wrong. Nope. Too small. I did not do salary cap. I thought I joined something else. Okay, we might have to catch the 210 slot. My mistake. I will answer more of your questions here. Nope, I did not mean to do that. Looking for expert 12. Expert 12, expert 12, expert 12. Expert 12. Okay, expert 10. PPR mock, PPR mock. PPR mock. This could be fun. We'll do an 18 team just to kind of see how these stack up. So that's in a couple minutes here. Yeah. All right, let's see. Again, folks, my name is Corey. This is Armchair Fantasy Football. Happy to have you join me here on this wonderful, what is it? Monday. It's Monday. 2 days away, 3 days away from the start of the NFL season. I am very discombobulated by the fact I just clicked on a wrong draft a second ago. Clearly, right? But yeah, if you guys could leave a like, subscribe. I will be live streaming about 4 to 5 times a week. A lot of my content in the past has been live streaming. I know last year in the 2023 season specifically, I tried to churn out some more videos, but this is just a great way to answer all of your questions in a live fashion. So I'm thinking we do a little bit more of this year. Okay, Tingley, I was answering your question. I got Bijan and Mostert in a PPR league, and then I got Wright and Algier as handcuffs. Do you like those two, or should I go after Chandler, McLaughlin? I really don't love McLaughlin, even though I don't think Javonte has a stranglehold on his starting spot. Chandler, I guess you could make an argument for. I think the 2 handcuffs are fine. Traditionally, I'm getting at least 1 in the back end of a draft because running backs are very disposable. They don't have a lot of bell cows out there anymore, and they're pretty dang injury prone. So I don't hate that strat at all. I think that is just fine. SJMP, we've got a draft in about 2 minutes here. Brock Purdy, Breece Hall, Travis Etienne, Rashad White, Devontae Adams, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Jake Moody, and the Ravens defense. Do I start Terry McLaurin or Keon Coleman over either of my running backs? And do I take Jaden Daniels over Brock Purdy? Daniels in his debut, I'd be very careful about that. Same with Caleb. I know some people have Caleb Williams on their starting roster as well. You can't really do anything with Drake May, obviously, because it is Jacoby Brissett. I would not start a rookie in their debut because we do not know how the human psyche is going to react. I would assume there's some nerves there, whether those guys want to admit it or not. I know Caleb Williams was saying there isn't much of it. I would just take Brock Purdy, take my 13 to 17 points, and then if Jaden Daniels really shows out in his debut or at least shows flashes and has some favorable matchups, then we go there. Yeah. Let's see. Wally says, who is the guy you find yourself drafting much higher than the consensus this year? I'm taking Chris Godwin a little higher. I do think with Mike Evans being a year older, he is now over 30. He's in that group of wide receivers who are kind of approaching the twilight of their career. I'm taking Godwin a round to a round and a half earlier, depending on where he falls and depending on where I fall in the draft. For the last 5 years, he's been a 1,000-yard receiver. If you're looking, again, I'm a very conservative drafter. If you're looking for someone who is just consistent, and he has consistently been top 20 to 25, I'm going there. Chase Brown, I'm probably taking a round or two sooner as well because I really don't think that Zach Moss has a stranglehold on that backfield. Wally, there's not a huge financial investment to Zach Moss. Obviously, Joe Mixon is out of town. And yes, the AFC North is very strong, but I would declare the Bengals as a winning football team if they can stay healthy. Winning football teams run the ball a lot. Chase Brown also has pass catching upside. So Chase Brown and Chris Godwin are two. I mean, Brown is more of an upside guy, especially in Dynasty. We talk about 5-year potential. I love him. And Godwin is just Mr. Consistent. So I think those two supplement each other very well. TNP Events says, what are your thoughts on zero or hero RB strategy? I am going hero or double hero RB because as you're going to see as we jump into this draft room, the talent significantly drops off after like rounds 3 and maybe 4. So in the first 3 rounds, I'm getting at least one running back. Sports Highlights says, glad you're back and feeling better. Feel like it's been a while. Yeah, it has been a while, man. I'm going to try and do a lot of live streams. That just makes the most sense for me. Oh, we got pick number 1. I'm actually going to go CD Lamb here. Is CD... Wait a minute. Commissioner's exempt list. We're going to keep an eye on that. I'm going to go Tyreek then. But, or Brees in that new offense. We'll go Brees with the pass catching involvement. I kind of have been rotating between those just to see how they would fall. In a vacuum, I'm usually taking Reek or Lamb here. Yeah, so TNP Events was asking about zero or hero RB strategy. I'm taking at least one in the first 3 rounds because outside of the top 10 to 12 running backs, I don't get very excited. I feel like there is a drop-off. Once we get past like Josh Jacobs and Kenneth Walker III, I do love Devon Achane, but he's extremely inconsistent and not very available. Like the upside's there. Ramondre Stevenson is in a horrible offense. Also, folks, we are almost at 20 likes on the stream early on. Thank you so much for the love. If we could hit that in a couple minutes, that would be awesome. Your support is appreciated. We'll take Brees here. I want to make sure I don't hit on the wrong thing. Yeah. So I'm going to take 1 to 2 because I do think there's a stark drop-off. And in the spirit of that, I'm taking a running back to start us off here in the first round. Sadly, had to pick at 9, but I think my team is solid as long as A.J. Brown is decent. Yeah, Sports Spotlight, feel free to throw your team by me. I can give it a look here. TNP Event says, what running back would you hero at pick 11, given that you may get another chance at the 202? So that's the luxury of 11 out of, I'm assuming, a 12-team draft. You're probably going to get like, oh, these are flying. This is very heavy auto. Okay, I might leave. Not going to lie. We're not doing this. Nope. I'd probably take Derrick Henry. I'm trying to look at all these now, but everyone's been drafted. I'll stay in here just to answer your question. Jeez. What the heck just happened? Okay. Well, I'm going back to back here, so I'll get elite tight end. The wide receiver talent is like, yeah, I can't wait any longer, though. Otherwise, it's going to be another 18 picks. Waddle, Smith, or Stephon. Probably still taking Stephon Diggs. Okay, I am leaving this draft. Yeah, Derrick Henry around that 1-2 turn would be an interesting one. I do think his value has fallen off a little bit. That's what I get for joining an 18-team draft. So, yeah, the TNP Events, I'm probably picking like Derrick Henry in that spot. You get towards the middle to end of the second round. You get guys like Isaiah Pacheco, James Cook. I love Pacheco and Cook this year. That's another one. Wally had asked me the question, hey, who are you drafting a little higher than they might be rated at this year? Pacheco doesn't have a whole lot of target competition right now, especially early on with Marquise Brown being doubtful for week 1, probably not going to play. James Cook is a more involved pass catcher year over year. And now Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis are gone. So it's Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, and I think a reliable dump-off option in James Cook. 21 likes on the stream. I appreciate it, guys. All right. Let's find another draft, shall we? And then I'll keep answering your questions here. Just want to make sure I jump in one. I don't want to do salary cap. That's not very heavily used. I feel like that wouldn't help a lot of people here. 12-team, head-to-head, standard PPR. Oh, it's full. Okay. What are we doing? We'll find one. Again, folks, if you're just jumping in, I'm going to go into, we'll still call it my second mock draft of the evening. I'll keep answering your questions in the comment section below. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you play fantasy football. We are live streaming about 4 to 5 days a week for the next 3 months, 3 to 4 months. I want to be an asset to you. I want to give you draft guidelines. I want to help you evaluate fantasy talent. I want to help you out-research your fantasy opponent. We will go standard here just because I want to get into a draft. I should be able to get in right away. All right. We'll go standard because some of you have been asking me about standard, so I will serve all of my audience. Let's see. You could tell is my crutch word. Apparently I say that a lot here. That's me, says 12-man PPR. All right, we're picking 3. Please tell me this isn't heavy auto. Okay, we've got a minute still. Josh Allen, Isaiah Pacheco, James Conner, Justin Jefferson, Drake London, Dallas Goedert, Terry McLaurin. On the bench, we have David Montgomery, Brian Thomas, Keon Coleman, Zach Moss, Rico Dowdle, Jordan Mason of the 49ers, and Dontavion Wicks. Thoughts? 12-man PPR, I like it a lot. If I'm looking over at running backs, we've got Pacheco. I love that. You probably got him back end of second, early third if it's a 12-man. James Conner is in a unique situation because he's a productive running back, but not on a great football team, so I don't know how much they're going to be running the ball in the back half of games. I do love Goddard. Maybe I just had Goddard. You could use him in a bench piece to upgrade, like Goddard and Montgomery to go out and get, I don't know if you'll get as high as George Kittle, but maybe somewhere in the Dalton Schultz range, although he has more target comp this year. Josh Allen's the QB1 and 4 the last 5 years. I like the team up and down, man. Dontavion Wicks is going to be an interesting piece to hold on to, and maybe we take Dontavion Wicks and we deal him down the road if he has a high week because there's a lot of target competition there, even though it's a pretty wide open deal. Why is this whole draft auto? I'll give it a couple. I will give this a couple rounds to see if people drop in, but right now it's just me and another person. William says 12-team half PPR, 12th pick. How'd I do? You have Anthony Richardson. I will be transparent. I've said this a couple times. I'm a little scared of Richardson at the QB 5 or 6 value because of the injury last year, and he was only a rookie. Very small sample size. Saquon Barkley and Jahmyr Gibbs, that is solid for a running back room. You have Nico Collins, so he does have the increased target comp with Stephon Diggs, but still a great talent. I think he should break 1,000 yards. T. Higgins in a great passing offense. The tight end 1 in Sam Laporta. I love it. Tank Dell, so 2 of those wide receivers, 2 of the top 3 in Houston. Rashee Rice, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Blake Corum, Chase Brown, I love long-term, Rico Dowdle, and McLaughlin. Good team. Good team. I might get yourself a security blanket behind that quarterback just because we're not sure how healthy he's going to be. There is some risk there. Bap Jap's in here. Good to see you, man. Says, hope all is well. I hope all is well with you, too. My strat this season is to start wide receiver heavy. The quality of receivers significantly dips after the first 3 rounds. I would say the same with running backs. So if you go 2 receivers and 1 running back or vice versa, I think you're in a good spot. I can't blame you for going to 2 receivers and 1 at the moment. I've been prioritizing that as well. Let's see. Any advice for drafting in a 14-team league? I mean, depending on where you're at in the draft, right? If it's PPR, I am definitely going 2 receivers out of the first 3 rounds, maybe 3 out of the first 4. You can always stock up on one position and then go and buy the running backs, but I do think running backs are more disposable. So in those bigger leagues like that, I'm leaning a little more towards the pass catchers, personally. We'll take James Cook here. Yeah, this is just heavy auto. Okay, I'm going to get out of here in a second. Anders Carlson, first overall. Neurological Gaming, I couldn't agree more. Anders Carlson and Greg Joseph, first and second overall. What do we think of that? TNP Events, are you concerned about Justin Jefferson this year? Where would you draft him? 12-team PPR. If I am back half of a round, I am taking Justin Jefferson. If I'm front half, I'm taking CeeDee Lamb. I'm taking Tyreek Hill. I'm taking Jamar Chase over him. I don't think there's much of a drop-off, but again, Justin Jefferson was the 101 the last couple of years. He is coming off an injury. It is Sam Darnold throwing to him for the foreseeable future. I do think Sam Darnold will rely heavily on the best receiver in the game when healthy. So I am going to say, I guess we're just doing this. The freaking heavy auto draft. I'll get out of it here in a second. I'm taking Justin Jefferson around the 108 or later. I'm not going to jump for him before that. Usually there's someone better available. Does your hero RB strategy change if it's a 3 wide receiver, 12-team PPR? 3 receivers, 12-team. It kind of depends on what's available. I'm getting out of here and getting in a better draft. Kind of depends on what's available, but I would still want to get a back because especially in a 12-team, once you start and wait around until like rounds 4, 5, and 6, all of a sudden your best guy might be, and he's not bad, but a Josh Jacobs, and then after that, you really start to get into that borderline backup range because those running backs go quick. BapJap says, is there an ultimate cheat sheet that you use? Trying to get an edge on this family league that I'm in tonight. I mean, the cheat sheet on the screen here is something I use for drafting for sure. Availability, opportunity, productivity, availability. Are they healthy right now? Have they been healthy in the past? That's why Richardson scares me a little bit. Opportunity, are they getting snaps? Are they getting targets in the past? Is there target competition? So we look at someone like Keon Coleman with the Bills, right? Well, Stephon Diggs got out of town. Gabe Davis got out of town. So Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, they have obviously gone up in value. So I look at opportunity, and then I look at any past signs of productivity. So we have someone, granted he is hurt, but like Nick Chubb, the appeal with him is he is a 5-yard per carry rusher over the course of a pretty long career for a running back now. Handful of years behind him. So I want a hybrid of all 3 of those. I want someone who's available. I want someone who is getting chances, who is touching the ball, who is on the field. And I want someone who is productive with those touches. With wide receivers, I want high catch percentages. And I also want someone who is getting a decent amount of yards per reception in that 11, 12, 13 range. Bye weeks, we don't want to stack up 4 or more of those if we can avoid it. If you do have 4 bye weeks, let's hope like 3 of them are on your bench. So it's just guys you're cycling in and out. Because the last thing you want to do is for week 12 to come around and you're like, okay, I lost. I'll take a loss here. That's usually the difference between, sometimes you getting 9 wins and 8 wins and then you're out of the playoffs. Team success. Better teams run the ball more late in the game because they're chewing the clock. Not so great teams don't really run the ball late in the game because they're trying to keep up. They're trying to stop the clock, and they are trying to move the ball down the field vertically, so you're going to see more throw-heavy schemes. So I like wide receivers on not great teams as long as the offense is good, and I like running backs on good teams because they are going to get touches down the stretch. All right, so that is for you, BapJap. That's kind of my cheat sheet. If you want to take a picture of the screen, I'll smile for you. I would say those are 5 good rules to follow when drafting. That's me, says appreciate you, my boy, but yeah, huge Wicks and Green Bay fan. I don't think I could trade him. No problem at all, man. Been trying to trade for a tight end. That's me. Let's look back at your team. Yeah, if you go Goddard and Zach Moss, because I really don't believe he has a stranglehold on that backfield. I've said that multiple times today. Goddard and Zach Moss, that would be cool, because then maybe you can go out and get yourself a fringe top 10, maybe even top 5. To give you an idea, I went Goddard and Brandon Cooks and was able to get George Kittle. So if you get Goddard and someone around that Brandon Cooks level in your league, someone who gets that same respect, garners that same value, you can get a George Kittle. The other fantasy owner, he's a smart dude. He didn't really hesitate on it. He was looking for wide receiver depth. We're in an expanded roster 12-team or 10-team league. Kind of plays like a 12. So yeah. Yeah, no problem. Again, make sure you guys make sure you guys subscribe, and of course, make sure you put any of your fantasy football questions in a live chat. We are live streaming 4 to 5 times a week. A lot of live streaming leading up to week 1 of the season. As you guys are drafting and trying to set your first lineups, I'm going to put information in front of you That'll help you out research your opponent. I'll never tell you what to do, but I will give you suggestions and put info and research in front of you so that you can make the best decision for yourself. Get Awesome Gaming says 12-team half PPR, 9th pick. My home league has bad drafters. That could get interesting. That's kind of scary because maybe someone you were going to get in the 7th round goes in round 2. So you have Jamar Chase, Kyron Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, Brandon Ayuk, Anthony Richardson, Jake Ferguson. Between Flowers and Brian Thomas, who would you flex for week 1? If you have 2 guys that are around the same area, also, folks, we are almost at 25 likes on the stream. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I will get to all your questions soon here. When you have 2 people in the same tier in a PPR format, I am probably taking Flowers over Thomas. Going up against Kansas City, starting the season off, he had a great rookie season. And obviously, as Lamar gets older and older, he is going to run it less. They're going to use Derrick Henry a great deal as well, but Chris Jones in that front 7 has been nice. I think we go Flowers here as the tiebreaker. He is a traditional pass catcher. Brian Thomas, more ground and pound. Saquon Cuff, Gainwell or Shipley? Probably Gainwell for now, but I'd keep watching those Philadelphia Eagles depth chart reports. Who's doing well in practice this week? See if the depth chart flips at all. Gainwell is my guess at the moment based on the limited information that I have seen. Flash says 12-man standard. We have Purdy, Marvin Harrison Jr., Mike Evans, Breece Hall, Raheem Mostert. This is an awesome team. I got to keep in mind it's standard too. Brandon Ayuk is your flex. You have Mark Andrews as a tight end. On the bench, you've got Rashee Rice, DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Williams, Ezekiel Elliott, the touchdown machine. My question, do I trade a wide receiver to upgrade running back? Thanks. On the bench, if you went, Mike Williams is very injury prone. Again, he's in an offense with Aaron Rodgers and that Jets team that should be good if everyone stays healthy, but a lot of injury prone names out there for sure. I would say Mike Williams, you have Hall, Mostert, Ayuk. Mike Williams and D-Hop would get you a home run at running back. Like, you could probably get James Cook for Mike Williams. No, you can't. DeAndre Hopkins and Zeke, Rashee Rice and Mike Williams, Rashee Rice and Zeke. If you can combine those 2 guys and go out and get like a top 10, top 15 running back, I think you're doing yourself a pretty big favor. Maybe you go Rashee Rice and DeAndre Hopkins and try and get James Cook, Josh Jacobs, Isaiah Pacheco. If you get yourself a home run at running back and you really are trying to develop, then you still have Mike Evans, Brandon Ayuk, Mark Andrews. I'm missing something. You have Marvin Harrison Jr., Mike Evans, Brandon Ayuk. Yeah, you're still good at wide receiver. If you wanted to go Rice and D-Hop, you can swing as hard as you can for running back. There's just going to be a bit of a vacancy when the bye week comes around. If you want to get a mid-tier running back, like wide receiver 15 to 20, I think you can go Rice and Zeke and go after, just look in your league between like 15 and 20. If you go Rashee Rice and Ezekiel Elliott or DeAndre Hopkins and Ezekiel Elliott, you should be able to get a running back between like 15 to 20. That would be my advice there. I wouldn't, the more I'm talking it out, Flash, I wouldn't swing for a home run running back because then you're going to be gutted at the wide receiver spot. And when a bye week rolls around, no. Yeah, right? Okay. Tingley, who are you more high on between Brian Thomas, Rome Odunze, and Keon Coleman? Brian Thomas is probably third out of there because, yes, Antonio Gibson is out of there, but I could see Jaden Daniels taking up a decent amount. Oh, no, Brian Thomas, excuse me. Between the 3 receivers, I was thinking Brian Robinson for a second, so that's my bad. I am probably going Keon Coleman out of the 3 just because of the lack of target competition. I've said this a few times today already, but Stephon Diggs out, Gabe Davis out. Plenty of opportunity for Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, and Dalton Kincaid. So I'm going to go Coleman, Odunze, then Thomas. I do think the passing offense in Chicago will be good, but there's a lot of competition there too between Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. Tyler Sperry's in here. How's it going? Pick 1.12. All the good wide receivers will be gone, so I was thinking going Barkley and Kupp, Barkley and Kyron, Barkley and Taylor. Which one? Well, your running backs are good then. I would probably go double hero RB because per my 5 rules, availability is a big one. We know that Cooper Kupp gets opportunity when he's on the field, although Puka Nacua is in that receiving core now. We know he also gets productivity. I am going to go with one of your double hero RB options, Barkley and Kyren, Barkley and Taylor. Kyren, in my opinion, a little more reliable, doesn't have as much of an injury history as Jonathan Taylor. Barkley and Kyren or Barkley and Taylor, I would take that over Barkley and Kupp. Sorry, the 111. Yeah, that's fine. You might have Garrett Wilson around at that point, but probably not. That's me, says, okay, bet, I'll try and cook something up. Appreciate your help. Yep, no problem. Folks, I am going to put a link in the live chat right now if you want to get a hold of me after the stream today. I'll still be on for a little more time, but I do have a free Discord. There's a questions tab. There's a Corey's research tab. There's a general tab. There's a trades tab. There's also an announcements tab, so you'll be the first ones to know when I'm going to live stream. On the Discord, that is a great way to reach me pretty much 24/7. Sometimes I'll take a few hours to answer, but honestly, during the season, I'm probably going to answer you pretty dang quick, okay? So, I'm going to put that in the live chat here. Here, 1 second. Let me get you guys the link, and then you can join it. It is free, and it is a great way to get a hold of me. Unfortunately, I cannot stream 24/7, so I just want to make sure all of you have access to me. All right, folks, go in the description, or excuse me, in the live chat, and you can join the free Discord. Great way to get a hold of me. Babjap says, would you start Jaden Daniels if you don't get a quality QB? Babjap, I'm going to need to know what a quality QB is, only because I am very, very, very hesitant, very reluctant when it comes to starting a rookie quarterback in their debut. I am very cautious there. Kyle, how's it going, man? Kyle Davis from MV3 Podcast says, is Kirk Cousins still a decent enough QB1? Folks, if you're looking for a podcast where people kind of talk about a variety of different sports, but pretty heavy on NFL and college football, Kyle, if you're still watching, feel free to drop your link in the live chat. They're a great follow. I go on with them sometimes. Is Kirk Cousins still a decent enough QB1? Early on, I would say no. I am a little worried about the Achilles tear, but I have been harping on the fact that Kirk Cousins is a great value pick. He's around the QB 18 right now. I think he is a phenomenal backup. But I'd have a lot of issues with having Kirk Cousins as my QB1, and then you have someone outside the top 20, 25. You got someone like Justin Herbert in a run-heavy offense as the backup, because Kirk, at his age, coming off his injury, might not play the whole year. We just saw it with Aaron Rodgers, right? Turf and all. Same exact situation. So yeah, Kyle, I would say he's a good backup. Brad McCoy, would you trade Kamara and McLaurin for Zamir White and Devonta Smith? Let's look at this straight up. Kamara down to White. I think that's a slight downgrade. McLaurin, go up a bit for Devonta Smith, especially in that brand new offense under a new coordinator. I would do it, Brad. I would do it for Zamir and Devonta Smith. Yes. Tyler Sperry, would you go Barkley and Kupp rather than draft double RB? Thanks. I would rather draft double RB than draft Kupp, someone who is injury prone and competing with Nakua. That is my personal opinion going off the 5 rules here. Availability, opportunity, productivity. Availability is number 1 for a reason. If they're not healthy, they're not going to score you any freaking fantasy points. So I am kind of a Kupp avoider. If he's available in like the 3rd or 4th round for some reason, maybe I'll go after him. But I would rather go double RB than Barkley and Kupp right now. Kyle's saying MV3 Podcast on Facebook and YouTube, 100%. Yep, no problem. TNP event saying Justin Jefferson or Garrett Wilson. I am still going Justin Jefferson. He is still the best receiver in the game. Yes, Sam Darnold is throwing to him. Kind of a weird situation, right? Because A-Rod is throwing to Garrett Wilson, but we have to rely on A-Rod to be healthy. Justin Jefferson has no more Kirk Cousins. We know what he has. It's Sam Darnold. I do think Sam Darnold will rely on him heavily. I also think if both teams stay healthy, the Vikings will be working from behind more this year than the Jets will be, and so it's a more pass-heavy scheme. Bapjap says, I guess in a 10 to 12 team league, if you guys miss out on the top tier of guys, would you go Daniels over a Justin Fields or Bryce Young? That is the exact order I would go in, except I would switch Young and Fields because Russ could still be the QB. So I'd go Jaden Daniels 100%. I do like the rushing upside. I just don't want to start a rookie in their debut. I'm not sure I'd start Caleb Williams in his debut. Even though he's going up against Tennessee, I'm not sure I would do it. Also, folks, we just hit 25 likes. Thank you so much for that. Again, my name is Corey. This is Armchair Fantasy Football. We are streaming 4 to 5 times a week. I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you with drafting. I'm here to help you with waivers. I'm here to help you evaluate fantasy talent. So please, please, please ask me any and all of your questions. We're also almost at 1,000 subscribers, so hitting that subscribe button would be awesome. I am going to put the link to my free Discord in the live chat again. You can join that. That's a great way to get a hold of me a lot more often than you would on here. But we're live streaming 4 to 5 times a week. So yeah, I would take Daniels. I'm just not sure I'd start him week 1, BapChap. Brad McCoy says the 10-man would then be Lamar, Saquon, Rachaad White, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Waddle, a combination of Dallas Goedert and Brock Bowers. That's what I had, but I took Goedert and traded up for George Kittle. But that's the combo I had. Bowers, great dynasty tight end, by the way. Devonta Smith with a bench of Nick Chubb, Jerome Ford. I like the handcuff. Should Chubb go down again? I hope he doesn't. Not Jamar Chase. Chase Brown, Brian Thomas, and Amari Cooper. I like that a lot. Let me just look back, Brad. Would you trade Kamara and McLaurin for White and Smith? So then you would have Saquon Barkley, Zamir White, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Waddle, Devonta Smith, bench of Chubb, Ford. Yeah, I think that's a good upgrade. Terry has a decent amount of target competition and a new quarterback. And Terry's never been like top 10 stuff. You know, we might have more potential with somebody in Devonta Smith, even though he is the second option on his own team. BapJap says, having a hard time believing Rodgers will stay healthy all year. I don't buy the Garrett Wilson hype. I'm definitely still taking Justin Jefferson over him, so I agree with you on that. And Rodgers is 40 years old. Jordan's in here. How's it going, man? I've been watching your streams a decent amount lately. I'll see if you got one going on tonight. I'm sure you do. Yeah, anybody who likes gaming content, we've got another content creator in the chat, Jordan Whitrock. Give him a subscription. He's got a couple thousand subs now, building up a good audience. Very consistent in doing his content. A lot of fun to be around. Good guy is Jordan. Breece Hall, you meant to say. A good pick being at 8 in a 12-man league. If Breece Hall fell to me at 8, I would be one of the happiest men alive. So good stuff, man. I'm glad that happened. Yeah, Breece Hall is going at like 3 or 4. So I like that a lot. Let's try and get in one more draft here. Fingers crossed. I have been in auto-heavy drafts, and it has sucked. Let's see here. Let's find it. Again, folks, the free Discord is in the chat. Yes, sir. Happy to see you here, Jordan. Free Discord is a great way to get a hold of me, as is being on these live streams. So again, feel free to hit like, subscribe, and put your question in the live chat. We're doing one more good mock draft. Let's see here. 12-team expert PPR would be awesome, but I'm probably just going to pick if I go in a beginner draft, don't judge me. We're just going to try and school them. But I need head-to-head points, PPR mock, and head-to-head points, PPR mock. Let me in. Oh, okay. Do we get in? No, that's the wrong one. Oh, that's salary cap too. The same thing happened where like I thought I clicked on one and then I clicked on a different one. Find another draft. We will find one, I promise. Yeah, lots of heavy auto today, and I'm not sure why. Because if you're doing a mock draft and you're doing something last minute, if you're going out of your way to do a mock draft, I don't know why you wouldn't be there for it. Maybe that's just me. Let's see. I just want a 12-team PPR. Nope. Let's see here. $14's fine. Just let me in. Okay. We'll take a pro 14 team PPR. Just need to make sure people actually stay in it. All right. So that will start in about a minute here. Brian says, just realized you're 40 subs away from 1,000. What a journey we've been on, man. Early congrats. Most of the mocks I've been have been heavy auto. So we're at 960. Folks, if you're watching right now and you could hit like and subscribe, I would love to get to 1,000 by the end of September. That would be a true blessing. Brian is a day one. Brian Pereira in the chat there, man. Give him a W, a shout out, clap for him, whatever you want. I'm pretty sure he's been a follower of this channel before I hit 100. So Brian, huge shout out to you. Tyler Sperry says, Kyron or Taylor due to Kyron returning kicks. Probably still Kyron. Also, just with the fact he's been more available, Taylor's kind of been relatively inconsistent. 1 like away from 30 likes on the stream. Would greatly appreciate it, folks. Probably going to go Kyron. Younger, more available, more productive as of late. He checks off all my boxes here. All these boxes. We are in the draft. Probably be our last one for the day, folks. Gerald says, I had the 10th pick and I was able to land both A.J. Brown and Bijan Robinson. Surprised nobody took Bijan. He landed in the second round. I'm shocked too, considering that's a revamped offense that should have a lot to look forward to this year. Just give me a handful of people not doing auto. Okay, I can sit with this. Jordan says, have you ever thought about posting videos of your drafts? Like if you were a certain pick, could be great for search before the season starts. That is a good plan, actually, Jordan. I will take your advice up on that. I appreciate it. Thank you. So, like, for example, I was pick 1 and, well, I've had one good draft today, so I'll have to look back at it. But, yeah, we are pick 5 out of a 14-team pro head-to-head PPR mock here. We'll see where we go with it. That's a great idea. Where would you draft Nick Chubb? Nick Chubb, I'm waiting a few rounds because he's out the first 4. Santiago Horta, I've got pick 10 out of 12. Would you go wide receiver, or running back, running back? I'd go a hybrid between the two, personally. All right, folks, 14-team head-to-head points PPR mock draft. Let's get it. I am pick number 5. Pick number 5, I'm looking for CD. I'm looking for Tyreek Hill. Amon-Ra St. Brown is one of the more consistent options out there. CD went first. Can't blame him. And really here, I'm just looking for consistency. Amon-Ra going second. I don't hate that either, to be honest. Availability, opportunity, productivity, my 3 golden rules outside of watching your bye weeks and looking for team success. Breece Hall falling to me at 5. That's happened a couple times. I will gladly take that. Or do I want Reek? I'm going to go Breece Hall here due to the pass catching upside, and you'll see why here in a second. You're not going to find too much of this. I mean, the Jets did not have a good season. They did not have a great offense, and he still had north of 1,500 all-purpose yards, 9 touchdowns, and now he gets a future Hall of Famer in Aaron Rodgers next to him in the backfield. We're going to go with that. So, again, value really does jump off after the first couple of rounds. Like, once we get past, I would argue, Kenneth Walker III, we're looking at someone with a decent amount of injury history in Devon Achane, then Ramondre Stevenson, not in a great offense. DeAndre Swift is competing with Khalil Herbert and Roshan Johnson. But, yeah, just look at those 5 golden rules here on the side of the screen. Availability, are they on the field? Are they healthy? Opportunity, are they getting touches? Are they getting snaps? Are they getting targets? Productivity, what are they doing with those touches, snaps, and targets? Do they have a good yards per carry average? Are they getting a decent amount of yards per reception? Do they have a good catch percentage? Bye weeks. I would say in most leagues, most roster formats, we don't want 4 or more of those. And team success. Teams that run the ball a lot are likely winning, because teams that are winning are likely running the ball a lot. They are trying to chew the clock down in the back half of the contest. Teams that have a decent offense but are behind are going to rely on the passing game, and they're going to have a decent amount of producers in that regard. Double hero RB is not out of the question here, depending on what value falls to me. I would doubt that Puka falls, but that would be great. If I could get somebody like Mike Evans at the 24 spot, I would gladly do that because Baker had a phenomenal year, as much as people want to hate on him. Derrick Henry in one of the best rushing offenses in the entire league. That would be an enticing offer, and he's gone, so never mind. James Cook is an interesting one as well. I might see if he falls to me in the third round because James Cook, again, is part of an offense. We talk about opportunity. The target competition is not much there, and it's interesting I'm talking about that with a running back, but no Gabe Davis, no Stephon Diggs. It is going to be Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, and James Cook, who had a decent amount of passing involvement last year. All right. 2 picks away. I'm heavily contemplating double hero RB unless somehow Puka falls to me. I will gladly take Puka even if he is questionable. Nope, fully ready to go. If Puka falls to me here, that is a gift. Wow. Yep, you can take James Cook. I will take Puka. And now we are 8 picks away here. Either going to go double hero RB. I would have taken James Cook if he came back around. Rachaad White, not too efficient, but a decent pass catcher. More than decent, actually. The Bucs were the same way with Leonard Fournette. Probably going pass catcher here. Round 3. Check out a couple questions here. I've got pick 10 out of 12. Oh, we already talked about that with Santiago. Wide receiver, running back, running back. I would go hybrid. And then Brian saying, has anyone been drafting Taysom Hill? I mean, he's more of a waiver wire pickup, right? Like versatile. When that offense is in a rut, they go for him. I don't want to reach here, and I don't love the change of scenery for Joe Mixon, I'll be honest. I'm going to go best player available here. I'm between Ayuk and Metcalf, or I could get my QB in Allen. I'll go Metcalf. I am going to go for a rushing QB here. If I can get Hurts or Jackson, I see that as a success. Obviously, Lamar is the more likely out of the 2 outcomes. Josh Allen's a tough get, right? QB 1 and 4 the last 5 seasons. Laporta going in round 3. Very interesting. But also, it's a 14-teamer, so that kind of makes sense. Yeah, 5's not the worst spot to be in. I would argue in a 14-team, like pick number 11 or 12 would be tough because you don't get priority and there's still a huge gap. This is a stash for later. I don't want to wait too long, but now the running back talent, in my opinion, the drop-off has happened. So there's not a ton of urgency for me here to get my RB2. If I can get Aaron Jones or James Conner, sure. Ramondre is a great pass catcher, so maybe I go after him, but he's not in a great offense. So I'm kind of steering away there. I don't love Javonte. I mean, Zamir White has the job. James Conner has the job. Aaron Jones has the job. DeAndre Swift is getting paid, but he's got a lot of competition in the backfield. Would not be mad if Jalen Hurts fell to me. Would not be shocked if he got picked in the next couple here. No, he's definitely not falling to me. The next auto would get him, but there's nobody in auto other than the last/first pick. So I'm probably going tight end here. I've got my 2 receivers. Not in a huge rush. I'll go Lamar, and then I'll go... I'm going to have to pick between the 2, aren't I? Yep, tight ends are going. Lamar is gone. We'll go Mark Andrews here, and then we have to get running back next time around. I don't think that's going to be a huge issue when looking at somebody like James Conner or Aaron Jones. Tough part for me, right? These guys are pretty efficient, but they're both on losing teams. Pass catching involvement will be of benefit. Aaron Jones was available for less of last year, so I'm definitely leaning Conner. Another one with Zamir White, where the Raiders should be better than the Cardinals and Vikings. We're looking at like an 8-9 win team, in my opinion. So I'm probably going Conner, White, Jones in that order. Again, the productivity's there, the availability's there. The opportunity might not be because these are teams that don't win a lot of football games. So that is something to keep in mind. Got a question on what's a trope or strategy that has you rolling your eyes every year in these drafts? That's from Wally. Always feel like there's a new hot trend or philosophy. I don't like, and I used to do it, I don't like when people go, oh, wide receiver 1 on a bad team, and immediately overvalue them. Now, per my rules, right, team success, a wide receiver on a team that is losing games or is coming from behind is going to be on a more pass-oriented offense. That's good. But people who are just blindly taking Malik Neighbors in the second round, that's not a good offense. Like, I like that rule, but you have to make sure the offense is at least competent enough to be able to move the ball down the field. It's all fun and games to pick someone who's in a pass-heavy offense until you realize said pass-heavy offense can't move the ball. So, yeah, people who just blindly take a wide receiver on a bad team and go, that's it, without doing any further research, I like the approach, but let's make sure the offense at least has a decent quarterback, an offensive line that's not allowing dude to get like pressured more than anybody else in the league. There are flaws there, and I feel like that's one that a lot more people have been jumping on without doing enough research. So that's mine. All right. Got my 2 RBs. I can kind of sit back on quarterback here. Wouldn't hate Kyler. I mean, that's someone we need to hope stays healthy, so that kind of goes up against that rule. Haven't taken a ton of Brock Purdy. Dak has coming off of a great season, as much as people want to hate on him. I don't think I'm going to get Dak. There's no way I get Dak. Might as well pull that off the queue. Kind of doing the sit back and wait and see approach here with quarterbacks. Pacheco, ETN, or Rashad White in PPR. If we're going for the season, I am between Pacheco and ETN because they are more efficient per my third rule, productivity. Pacheco is going to have more opportunity than he had last year. Because they've been getting him more and more involved as a passer, and he doesn't have a whole lot around him. Marquise Brown, doubtful for week 1, at least last I checked. Official injury report should be coming out soon. And Travis Kelce, another year older, still going to be great. Rashee Rice as well. But a heavy utilization of Pacheco in comparison to year 1. Had just a handful of receptions in year 1. So a big fan of that. All right, so at this point, I understand. I have come to terms with the fact that I'm sitting back on quarterback. I don't need to get Kyler yet. Christian Kirk has been falling a lot. Keep in mind, he is not competing with as loaded of a wide receiving core. Gabe Davis is there, but Calvin Ridley is not. Zay Jones is not. They went to Tennessee and Arizona. So we're going to go with him there as our flex. And I think I'll get Kyler mid-7. Remember, I don't like starting rookies week 1. So if I were to get Jaden Daniels, I'm probably going to pair him up with like Kirk Cousins, and Kirk would actually be my week 1 start. And then long term, I'm looking to lean on Jaden Daniels as upside, most likely. If Caleb were to fall to me as well and the next couple picks don't go my way, that is also fine. Fully prepared for that. Kyler has not been that available, but I am going rush side here. Rushing upside, I should say. Kyler is gone. Got sniped, so now we're going to sit back and go Kirk and Daniels. Daniels will be my starter eventually. Kirk is going to be my reliable backup that I start with in week 1 while he is still healthy. If I can swing Daniels, Singletary, and Cousins in that order, I'd be a pretty happy camper. Singletary, another guy who had a decent amount of efficiency. Down the stretch last year, he was clutch. I mean, you know, not a hot and fiery pick, but was around the top 30. Put together a few nice weeks. Yeah, he was winning the playoff games down the stretch here. I mean, showed flashes of being efficient and very involved in the passing game. Our target here is Daniels. Although Singletary is probably, yeah, I don't think Daniels makes it to my next pick. So we'll go Jaden. Not going to start a rookie in his debut. Lots of random factors there. I have a question from Jordan. Are you someone to go with the elite QB, or would you rather have a better skill player? I would go elite QB in this market because Josh Allen in 3 of the last 4 years has been the QB1 by the end of the season. So I'm going quarterback with rushing upside. They have that extra dimension where they can get points more efficiently than when they pass the ball. So I'm someone who's going to go after Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson in rounds 3 or 4 if I can help it, if it makes sense for me, as opposed to getting someone in that 3rd or 4th round spot. Like, if I have a choice between Josh Allen and Devonta Smith, I am taking Josh Allen. And he won a couple picks before there as well. Really depends on where I'm at, but I lean more towards leaping for that consistent quarterback, especially in half PPR and standard leagues. Those points mean so much more because they're not receiving the ball. So the more they rush, the better, right? Running back depth in this hypothetical world would be tough. Zeke is a good punch-it-in option. His goal line stats are undeniable, so I might end up going with him here. Tajay is going to be in a backfield fight with Tony Pollard. Gus Edwards, I might even go with, to be honest, because he's under Harbaugh, who has been building that O-line. They went out and drafted Joe Alt this year. I think I'm going Gus Edwards. And then I'm going to hope Kirk falls to me. He'll be my week 1. If Kirk does not fall to me, I'm not going to reach for him. If Kirk doesn't fall for me, we'll go with a 4,000-yard passer in Trevor Lawrence. Again, my plan here is to bank on the rushing upside of the exciting rookie in Jaden Daniels, who was taken 2nd overall this season. But I am going to start my backup week 1. Kirk Cousins a bit of an injury risk, so it kind of makes sense that we would start him earlier than later. And again, folks, I'm Corey. This is Armchair Fantasy Football. If you can leave a like, subscribe, and put any of your draft-related, team-related, trade-related, fantasy-related questions in the live chat, I will be happy to answer those for you. All right. Kirk should fall to me here. I want to make sure I'm not missing out on anything crazy. Ooh. Interesting. I do want my reliable quarterback. So we'll go with him. Looking at my bye weeks, we're fine. We have 3 receivers, 2 in their spots, 1 in the flex, 2 backs, and then 1 on the bench. So 3 of each. We're pretty even. We are in PPR. I'm going to look for You know, this is where I would take somebody like Chase Brown, but he is already off the board, I'm pretty sure. Correct. So I'm probably going receiver. Tight end drop-off has happened. We're going to be in the mid-130s. Khalil Shakir. Again, we look at the 5 rules. There is going to be opportunity. We don't know about productivity. He is a rookie. We are in the later rounds. I see opportunity with, again, Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs being out. Khalil Shakir is really going to be fighting with... Ooh, Gabe Davis being down here is interesting, too. Because actually, if you look at the Jaguars depth chart, he's not dealing with Calvin Ridley. He's not dealing with Zay Jones. It is just him, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, and then Brian Thomas Jr. I'll take Shakir first. I feel like he has less competition. Just kidding. We'll go to Gabe Davis. Wide receiver one in a bad offense, but he won't fall to me, I'm pretty sure. Pretty good prospect in Jalen Polk. Got my backup QB already. Might go defense in round 12 or 13. I am impressed. Not a whole lot of people have gone auto, so this is still a pretty valid draft model. Give me Gabe Davis. We've had productivity. The yards per reception is very attractive. The catch rate is not, but at this point in the draft, I'll take him. He's my wide receiver 4. It's technically a stack with Kirk. If one of them goes down, I can lean on the other. There's a couple different scenarios I can play with there. Backup tight end, not a ton makes sense here. Cole Kmet has a ton of target competition. See, they're projecting him to lose about 300 yards. And one less carry, I guess. Juwan Johnson is the tight end 1. Then it's Taysom Hill and Foster Moreau. Maybe he's a backup tight end. I don't honestly see a ton of value there. We might just take the best available. Blake Corum coming off the Natty Championship in Michigan. I am going to go defense here in round 12, unless others are doing that already. They are not. The Browns did go. I might go Cowboys here. Get the number 1 defense from 2023. Yep, let's do it. Bucky Irving behind Rashad White. See, this one's interesting, right? Romeo Doubs and Dontavian Wicks are back-to-back in ESPN Fantasy Football's rankings at 150 and 151. Very interesting. Because Romeo Doubs is declared as the wide receiver 1, and then I believe it's Watson, Reed, Wicks. The 1 and the 4. DK over Ayuk, Wally was saying. Yep, yes, sir. Thoughts on my team? Dustin, how's it going, man? Josh Allen, James Conner, Kenneth Walker, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel. On the bench, you got Jaden Daniels, so a QB with rushing upside. Blake Corum, Brian Robinson, I'm assuming. Deontay Johnson, Khalil Shakir. Deontay Johnson's going to have that opportunity as a bad wide receiver, or a good wide receiver on a bad team. You know, if Bryce Young looks good. Bryce Young hasn't had a whole lot of help. Hopefully, Deontay is the help that he needed to perform a little bit better. You've got a juggernaut of a quarterback that I've gone with year in, year out if I can help it in Josh Allen. James Conner and Kenneth Walker III are good, reliable backs. Conner is on a losing team, but maybe they take a step forward with Marv. One of the most consistent. So you've got a combination of upside on your bench with Jaden Daniels and consistency in the form of a first-round running back and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I love that a lot. Garrett Wilson, we need A-Rod to stay healthy, but even so, we know we're getting 1,000 yards out of Wilson. Kittle is still a top 5 tight end. Deebo is a very unique Swiss Army knife. I like that a lot. Khalil Shakir is sneaky good because of the lack of target competition. I'm still going to be going flex here. We'll go Wicks. Kind of got snubbed out of Romeo Doubs here. The business circuit says just finished an 8-man draft. I have Dak Prescott, Christian McCaffrey, Devon Achane, Puka Nacua, Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, so a little Cardinals stack there. Deebo Samuel, James Conner, and the bench is David Montgomery, Christian Kirk, Xavier Worthy, 4.21 40-yard dash. He broke the record this year. That was pretty cool. Jordan Addison, Brock Bowers, Brock Purdy, and Jordan Mason as CMC insurance. I like the back-end pick of the handcuff. I like that a lot. Any place I should improve, or specifically on the waiver wire, some notable names there are Chuba Hubbard, J.K. Dobbins, Jerry Jeudy, Jamison Williams, and Benson. Brandon Cooks really fell all the way to... I mean, that's a pretty good offense, man. I know he's 30 years old, but I'll take him. Marshawn Lloyd would be a sneaky pick, too. I don't think he's going to fall to me. We're pretty heavy auto now. Any place to improve? Dak, I love. CMC and Achane, we're going upside with a little bit of a risk of injury. So then I look to your bench. Mason as CMC insurance, and you have Monty. So I think you have a good backup plan there. Marv, Puka, Kirk, Addison, Worthy. Your tight end is McBride. I'd maybe be careful with the McBride stack. If you wanted to take McBride and a bench piece like McBride and Addison and just swing for Sam Laporta, I think that could be a fun pick because you have so much wide receiver depth. That's really my only note. You're pretty stacked. It's an 8-man, but you're very well-rounded. So maybe McBride and a bench piece, and we swing for a higher tier tight end. Dustin says, I'm actually going to win more than 3 games in our fantasy league now. That's phenomenal. Well, you beat me one time last year, so if you're talking about the sleeper draft or the redraft, I'm not sure. I know you're in both. Well, if A. Richardson stays healthy, they should score a decent amount, so we'll take Matt Gay as the kicker. That does remind me, folks, I'm going to drop another link in the description. We are doing a subscriber draft in the next couple days. You are more than welcome to join. We have 3 or 4 spots left open. First come, first serve. Great way to compete head-to-head with me. Last year, I did a worst to first challenge, meaning I literally took all bench players and one formidable starter and built my lineup from scratch, and I think I got 3 or 4 wins out of it. Might do that again, might just play you guys straight up. We'll see. Link in the live chat. It's going right now. Join our subscriber draft. And then I'll also put a link in after that to our free Discord. Great way to get a hold of me. A lot more convenient than, of course, getting a hold of me during lives is great, but you can get a hold of me around the clock through this Armchair Army Discord. So I will grab that link. I should probably pick. We'll go best available. Josh Downs, Will Levis, Wandale. We'll go Wandale. So first link was our fantasy draft. It's got 3 to 4 spots left. Second link, a free Discord where you can contact me. There is a tab dedicated to trades. There is a tab dedicated to just general talking points. There is an announcements tab where I would be talking about essentially anytime I'm going live, you'd be the first to know. There's a Corey's research tab where I'll just throw numbers at you, which is hopefully relevant to your situation. But yeah, I'm Corey. This is Armchair Fantasy Football. We're in our final round of our final mock draft. Pretty auto heavy here. We'll take best available. Yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed. I hope you leave a like. I hope you subscribe. I am here to help you out-research your fantasy opponent. I will never, ever, ever tell you what to do with your team unless you ask me for suggestions. And then I'll put the best information in front of you, sound research, to help you against your opponents. I'm going to give you information that your league mates likely don't have because I spend way too much time researching this stuff. So hopefully I can be an asset for you in 2024. We will let the last 3 picks round out here. Shout out to Jessica's scary team. Sticking it through. No auto picks. Amari Cooper or Xavier Worthy? PPR. I'm going to go Amari Cooper. We have an idea of what he is. He is a 1,000-yard receiver in a not great passing offense. Xavier Worthy, there's not much target comp there, but there is still Rashee Rice, Marquise Brown when he's healthy long-term, and Travis Kelce. So I'm going to go Amari Cooper because he is the declared number 1 on his team. There it is. Hall, Nakua, Metcalf. We went tight end pretty early in Andrews. This was a 14 team again. Connor, Kirk, Daniels, Edwards, Cousins, Davis, Cowboys, Dontavion Wicks. We went Brandon Cooks, great value pick, Matt Gay, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Cade Otton. Folks, thank you so much for joining. Again, in the live chat, we do have links to the Fantasy Football League among subscribers, and we also have a link to a free Discord, a great way for you to get a hold of me around the clock. We will be live streaming either tomorrow or the next day ahead of the first game of the NFL season. It'll be the Chiefs and the Ravens on Thursday Night Football, and then the Packers and Eagles from Brazil on Friday. Lots of fantasy players in those matchups, so I will be sure to get in front of you ahead of then. Otherwise, make sure you leave a like, make sure you subscribe, ask me any questions that you have in the chat after this live stream is done or in the Discord. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you in the next one.